Kevin Rankin.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for being here on a fantastic Tuesday afternoon. I'm talking to you from sunny Las Vegas at the Link Hotel. My sons and I are getting a little escape, and it feels like I'm taking it all access live right on the road again. This is the plan. Once we get back on the road, I plan to get out there and hang out with wonderful guests on the road, backstage, while we're playing live or not. So let me tell you, if you're watching this on any other service other than YouTube, I would love it if you go to youtube.com/allaccesslive with Kevin Rankin and hit the subscribe button and then hit the bell, because you'll be notified when we got upcoming shows. Tomorrow we've got amazing Sarah Paz. She is a dynamo women's entrepreneurial expert. She's worked with Nike and a lot of major organizations. She's going to be talking to us from Singapore, and if you're interested at all in making an impact on the world, this girl's going to make you. She's going to show you how to do it. So I want to thank my sponsors at 5 Star Guitars. 5 Stars, based in Beaverton, Oregon. They are wonderful about having repairs and lessons, and you can get a discount if you go to Facebook. My apologies. Go to 5starguitars.com/allaccesslive and use the promo code of allaccess15. You're going to save 15%, and there's no sales tax. So you'll save a bunch of money. You're going to support the show, and you're going to support local business. On Friday, 5 Star is partnering with me to have Eddie Van Halen's guitar tech. So we'll have Tom Harmon on, and we'll talk a little bit about Edward Van Halen and his legacy. Almost as sexy as that is my next guest. Let me warm up just by telling you that we first met, and he had a series of regional bands in the Northwest, but I found out about his metal legacy in Gargoyle. So I'm going to bring him right in here. We've got Dave Kendall. Dave, how you doing, my friend?
Oh, dude.
Hi.
That was horrifying.
Yeah, so sorry about that. Yeah, so folks, if we normally do this on another streaming service, but I just put Dave through the ringer. We got him to jump on a different service. So I love that you've got this backdrop of your studio. Dave Kendall.
It's the only place I can do it.
Yeah.
The rest of the house are just like bombs going off with dogs and dad.
Nice. Yeah, man. Well, you know what? I'm in Vegas, and this is the first time that they don't have rave music playing through the window from the pool next door. So.
Oh, great. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like everything you're used to playing, right? So, I forgot to warm this up in the introduction that what I used to love to do with you was introduce you as Mr. Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters and Nirvana.
I knew you were going to bring that up.
We have to, but this is pre-Sherry, right? So we've got some fun stories that we can share. Like,
yep.
You want to tell that story?
There's a couple. My favorite one was from your brother. I think it was your brother's birthday.
Okay.
And we went to the Dancing Bear.
Which is a very cultured gentleman's establishment.
It is. It's very top-notch, highbrow.
Right.
Yeah. You got to know people to get in there.
Right. I wasn't sober yet either, so I'll just.
Right. Yeah. Are you sober?
I'm kidding. Yeah, 9 years.
It's a joke.
Yeah.
So we went in there, and we were behaving ourselves, and we were at the bar, and I was standing. There was like you, and then me, and then the wall. But before the wall, there was a dancer.
Right.
That was there, and you very nonchalantly and matter-of-factly and quite seriously said, "Excuse me, could I introduce you to my friend? This is Dave Grohl." And this is no joke. I don't know if you remember this or not, but the girl looked at me and said, and I apologize to anyone out there, "Do me right here."
Yeah, I think, and I hate to. I thought what she said was, "Impregnate me right now."
Oh,
you need to get me pregnant.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, it doesn't get any better than that. That's when you knew you hit the upper echelon of rock stardom, right? So,
yeah, for sure, right? Yeah. And that wasn't the only time it happened, but that was the most memorable one. You liked to do that.
I really did, actually. Yeah, it was fun. And I am going to apologize, guys, if you're out there and you're talking to us on YouTube or anyplace else. If I miss you on the chat, it's because we're doing this different service. And so I'm bouncing around to the different platforms, Facebook, Twitch, YouTube. And so if I miss your chat and you're saying funny things for Dave, then my apologies. But anyway, so Dave, I talked a little bit about just your metal history with Gargoyle. I don't typically like to do this as like interview style. I love to have conversations. And so
we're going to have a conversation,
hanging out, talking about the dancing bear and and how many children you may or may not have anywhere else out in the world that you don't know about.
I'm damn sure I don't have any.
But when I went down, I think to my first NAMM show. Well, my first NAMM show in the last 15 or 20 years. Mm-hmm. DJ Will Howell from KNAC. He said, "Hey man, I was hanging with Glenn Zobel," and he said, where are you from, man? I said, "I'm from Portland." He goes, "Oh my God. Yeah. Like the guys in Black and Blue and Dan Reed Network and my favorite, Gargoyle." And I apologize. This is the first time that I had heard about Gargoyle, but now that I've got vinyl and there's been a resurgence in knowing a little more about the legacy that is Dave Kendall, tell me a little bit about the formation of that band and what that was all about. Because there were all-stars besides you in that band too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All-stars. That's funny. You're cute.
Hall of Famers.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's just like, if you're in it long enough, you just are automatically inducted into whatever the Hall of Fame is. But anyways, no, that was my high school band. I mean, Kevin Sanders and I started that band in high school, and I'm going to tell you how I met that guy. I was a junior in high school, and he walked up to me in the hall with his old drummer, who I'm still friends with to this day. Okay. And he walked up to me with a copy of, I'm pretty sure it was Black Sabbath, Masters of Reality. Oh. And he held it up in his hand, it's hanging down. And I'm like, oh, and I mean, I'm a newbie. I'm listening to Rush, and Yes, and Jethro Tull. I was all into the
prog guy.
I was a total prog guy, prog guy. And he walks up to me and he goes, "When you're a real man, you can listen to this." And I was like, and then for some reason we found, we just started talking, and the band that he had going with my friends and the other guys who I all became friends with in high school, they said whatever happened, they just moved on. And so he just lived a few blocks away from me. So he came over. I remember he had his guitar head out of, he had his amp out of the cabinet and turned upside down and like bolted to a piece of wood with like a speaker that he plugged into it, and it made the most horrible noise. But it was so fun, and we were so young and dumb, and I'd never done anything like that before. And so that's how we started. And then we just slowly, we built it up, and we completed a lineup, and we got close enough to where we could start playing shows. And so our first show was at the original Pine Street Theater. This is way before your time, brother.
What?
Yeah.
La Luna?
The Pine Street Theater, which I believe became La Luna.
Yeah, but your first gig was there?
Our first gig, and it was still when they had all the lamps hanging from the ceiling, and it was a completely different setup, stage on the far side of the wall, and we did the Battle of the Bands.
Oh,
and
nice.
So we went out there, and we had this singer, Dave Clark, who was marginally older than we were. I was 18. I was probably 18 by the time we got to that point.
Okay.
So we did that, and it just kind of started happening. I think more than anything because Bucco from Two Louis, who wrote for Two Louis at the time, got a picture of Kevin, and from that gig, and I think we won it. I think we did. I'm not sure. If anybody's listening and you're in one of the bands we played with and you actually won.
No way, man. Don't take my thunder.
Exactly. So
it's going to be Dean Castronovo. Dean's going to be like, "No, man." No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, well, Dean will come in shortly. But so they had so Bucco, who was also the photographer and wrote for the heavy metal, wrote the metal stuff, most of the hard rock and metal stuff. he took a picture of Kevin. It was a pretty cool shot of Kevin with this big flying V, and he wrote Gargoyle, bone crushing guitars.
Oh,
and
nice.
so we got that. So anyways, that kind of started, things started to roll a little bit, and then we hooked up. I can't remember his name right offhand, and it's embarrassing. He managed the Wild Dogs.
Okay.
Who Dean
Oh, right. Yeah.
Novo originally played for,
featuring Matt McCourt.
Matthew T. McDude, who I have minor things where every once in a while we'll come across each other, but we haven't really spoken since way back in the olden days. And it was dude, this is a long time ago, so forgive me if it takes a little time for things to start to process sometimes, but their manager called us up. Dude, I swear I will never forget this moment. Phone rang. I'm in my parents' bedroom. I answer the phone. I can't remember his name. It's super embarrassing. This is blah, 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 manager for the Dogs. We were, would you guys like to open up for the Dogs at the Pine Street? And I was like, well, yeah. Well, at this point, I don't think I knew that much about Dean, except that, or the whole Wild Dogs lineage as a whole, because that's a Portland thing, right. And I'm technically from the Couve.
Oh, so, yeah, right. The Kentucky.
Dude, I'm telling you exactly, and I'm telling you right now, when you're in high school in the Couve and you've got your little circle of friends and everybody's like, oh, Dave, man, you're really good and you've got it going on. And, you start to listen to that a little bit. I mean, I didn't have an ego or anything, but I started, I was feeling pretty good about where I was at that particular time, playing drums for 3 years or whatever.
I will say, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I was going to say, I know that feeling exactly, right? Small town. I was Bozeman, Montana, and there were two rock drummers, right? That was me and my buddy Vic, and but you feel as much like Tommy Lee at that point as anybody could, right?
Or at least I was deluding myself to believe that it could that I could possibly maybe
that's what we do, right?
In some way, shape, or form, maybe have something happen, maybe in the long run, So I remember very clearly the Dogs had a show, Wild Dogs had a show opening up for Dio at the Starry Night, the Roseland.
Yeah.
So I'm standing, I met in line about 3 people that are still friends of mine. I met them there. Lauren Bates, drummer from Glacier,
right.
Lives in North Carolina now, I think, whatever. These are all lifelong friends of mine now.
Okay.
And he was standing behind me and he goes, you've never seen the Dogs before? And I'm like, no. He's like, you've never seen Dean play before? I'm like, no. He's like, and he just starts laughing. And I'm just like, oh boy, So, and he was not wrong. I mean, anybody that was privy and lucky enough to watch that guy in those, I literally walked out there. The Dogs came out and started to play, and Matt came out. Matt, Matt walks out and he's just studded leather, and it was just, and Dean just starts. I mean, I was in the back of the rows and I was just like, oh, I'm done. I mean, I was just
your sticks up. I'm out.
Yeah, like, that's it. I'm out. Just came in and unloaded. And then, so back to the other part of the story was that shortly after that happened, that was when we got offered the gig. And as horrible opening for the Dogs, and I believe it was at the Pine Street again.
Okay.
And they had, I think it, no. They still had the original stage with all of the the antlers, antlers and lamps. It was really crazy. Yeah, it was super cool. And I remember going out at that gig being absolutely mortified that the only thing that would be more mortifying would be following Dean.
Oh,
that's the only thing that's more mortifying. And we actually became pretty decent. I wouldn't use the word friend because we never hung out past the music scene, but he knows who I am. He remembers me pretty well. And we've had a couple of contacts since then, but nothing major, nothing since. I don't think I've talked to him since it was before the Journey stuff. It was when I think he had just started joining. I think he was just joining or in the formation of the Hardline, maybe the Hardline project.
Yeah.
And I was living down in Southern California at the time, and I swear I'm going to wrap this up super quick because this doesn't need to be, but you got to have a little bit of a gush fest when you're a metal drummer in the 80s coming up with Dean. I mean, you just got to. Yeah. So he was down doing, he'd already done all of the, obviously all the dog stuff. He'd been doing the Shrapnel recordings. So he'd done the Tony McAlpine stuff and the Marty Friedman and done all that stuff with them. And he was doing a drum clinic at the Guitar Center down in where we lived in. We were in Redondo Beach, and I think he was doing it. It's literally like 4 minutes away from my house. Okay. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to this. Yeah. So I show up, and I think the clinic was at like 6, and I show up at like 4:30, praying that he's going to be there early. Yeah. Sure enough, I walk in the drum department. He's got his back to me with his Kiss jacket on.
Of course, yeah.
Loves Kiss.
He does, yes.
And I walked up behind him, and I said something really dumb into his ear, like something just that, I mean, it was just super dumb. Like, hey, big boy, you come here often, or something like that. And this surprised me, actually, before he even turned around and saw me, he just goes, Dave! And if you know, he's got that sort of raspy.
Yeah.
We had the best time. And so we talked for a little bit, and then he had to go get ready to do his thing. And I took off and went and got some food. I came back, and, just probably 150 guys in there. Dean gets up there, does his thing, unloads. Then he's doing the question and answer thing. And so it's about midway through the Q&A, I raise my hand, and he just looks at me and gets this big big Dean smile on his face. He goes, Dave, and he goes, wait a minute. And so he stops his little Q&A thing and says, Dave and I go way back. Dave's a drummer from the Portland area, and we used to do shows together. His metal band Gargoyle and my metal band Dogs used to do shows. And so everybody's like, whoa, when they're looking at some kind of hot shit. And I'm just like, whoa, sorry.
All-star.
And are we good? Are we good to cuss just a little bit?
Of course. No, I was saying, he pointed out that you're the all-star, see?
I guess that sort of, I guess. Yeah. So so my question to him was, are you planning to do any more impromptu gigs with Matt McCord at the Moosehead anytime soon? And he just busts up laughing, and we had the best time. It was really funny. And then at the end of the night, so at the end of the night, he takes off, and he was, I don't know what, he was like doing his posting, and then he was going to come out and do like more talking with the guys and stuff. But dude, it was like I was inundated. It's like, no, you guys don't understand. It's like, go do the Dean thing. Yeah. I'm just me. If you ever hear from me again, that's great. Trust me, I ain't all that. Just go do your, So that's my Dean Casanova story. I love that. Man, that guy has always been super gracious, really humble, really nice. Yeah. I remember back in the day, he was totally willing to do whatever he needed to do. There was no ego as far as like, as a drummer, getting there, a lot of guys are like, dude, I'm not fucking moving my kids. Right. Bullshit. It's like, oh my God, guys, everybody. Okay, I get it, But he was
still the same guy.
Yeah, he's just great. He's
just great. People, if you guys are watching this, I mean, most of you guys know who Dean Casanova is. But, I had him on the show about 6 weeks ago.
And I missed it.
And he had surgery, right? So he was going through this horrible recovery of surgery, and he's really cognizant of, his addiction issues in the past. And so he was with a mentor of his, just weaning off painkillers because he just didn't want to get stuck in that bit. And thank God. I mean, the dude was so brave to come on the show when it's a rough time. I mean, it just like he just had surgery, but he's so gracious to everyone. When he was on the show, we talked a lot about, a little bit about legacy, but more about being humbled with certain things. I mean, the dude has hit the highest highs and the lowest lows, but each time that he's done that, I know that it puts him in a perspective where he realizes it could go away at any moment. And he doesn't want to take anyone for granted. I've seen him, like kids in Salem that were really down in on their luck. They didn't have the money for like an amazing drum set. The guy had this massive deal with DW Drums. He would give drums away. He'd give drum sets away. And he's always touting somebody else's worth. Like he said to these guys, Dave Kendall, that I go way back, man, this guy's amazing. He's done the same thing with me. He does it and it's not because I think he does it because he doesn't want to be seen as that guy that with the bravado, because he can't help himself but have the bravado. He's like, he's larger than life in every bit. He's on 11 all the time. Drives Ferraris and the fastest cars, and he the biggest drum sets. He lives life to the fullest. But I love the fact that he at least will give it back that way. And honestly, man, I mean, I get more blown away by watching you every time I see you in a new project. The Paullezinski project, and I saw you guys do that thing on Bobby Pilata's show on Northwest Talent Spotlight. And I know Bobby's here. He says hello. And,
hi, Bobby.
The color field stuff was so right for the music. That's one thing, guys. Okay, so I talked a little bit about Dean, and I'll say this about Dave. I don't know that I've seen you do Latin stuff, but that may be the only style of music I haven't seen you play. And you do it with such conviction. There's nothing tentative about the way you play, but it's so right for the music. And I'm so envious of that. I mean, it's beautiful because you approach it musically. You approach the song without showing off that you've got all these chops. But the Lazinski gig, you could see the prog influence, and they were just the points where you just let up a little bit to just go, hey, by the way, I can do this. And it's right. It's right for the song. I love it.
I hope so. It's very, very funny because just to fill everybody in, so I do the Paullezinski thing. That's been my longest standing deal. Paul was with me in Colorfield with Carla, my sister. All about that stuff. And anybody that's joining in that knows me knows all about the Colorfield time.
With your wonderful sister, Carla.
Yeah, Carla. She's hanging in there. She's had a rough road. My Alexei, if you can believe this, do you remember that phone call that I made to you and we were talking? This is an interesting Kevin Rankin story, and this made me love you even more than I already do. Do you remember when Alexei? Dude, this is 16 years ago.
Okay. Alexei
fell out of the second story window at their house.
Oh my God, nephew. That's right.
And fell on his head and fractured his skull from the bridge of his nose to the base of his skull, and recovered from that fully. I remember when I told you that story, because that's when you and I were in close contact. We were talking all the time. And I told you that story, and you said, oh my God, and your voice got a little shaky, and you said, I'll call you back. I have to go hug my sons right now. Dude, that was crushingly, that was intense. That was really intense. And I've really, I've seen that side of you. Maybe other people have not seen that side of you so much, but that is such a testament to you as a father and a person. And and the thing is you've always been, ever since things started to take off for me, just locally here, and we started to get anything that I was doing when I had my tentacles out there doing whatever. You've always been really real. You've always been a good friend, dude. When I went through my divorce, you were there for me. You introduced me to Sherry, who I am still with to this day. Yeah, we just had our 16-year
beautiful thing,
dude. We had our 16-year anniversary on April 31st.
Congratulations, man.
I don't know if she's watching. Hi, Sherry.
Well, you guys, it's still like honeymoon stage.
Yeah,
honestly, when I see you guys, it's still like the first time you met. I love it.
She's awesome, man. And she's had to put up with a lot because, personal story, background stuff. Right around the time that I met Sherry, my father had a stroke and a heart attack.
Oh,
heart attack,
dude.
Heart attack and a stroke. I'm not sure which came. The heart attack came first. They put the stent in. The stent caused some plaque to break loose, and he had 3 strokes. So he was paralyzed. He had the whole right side paralysis thing and all that business. Couldn't talk. The whole deal. And so my sister Carla and my brother Brian, who lives in Indiana, he was up in Seattle at the time. We had a family conference. I was getting a divorce at that time. So this is right around the time, dude, that you and I were starting to hang. And they said, hey, what are we going to do? Dad needs this. I'm like, hey, I'll move back into the house. I'll move back into the house I grew up in. My dad is still alive and kicking.
Man,
16 years later, I am still in this house taking care of him, Everybody that knows me knows that. Sherry and I have invested, and we bought some properties, and it's, being here though has been kind of a blessing, because I've been able to build this my super small, not perfect little studio where I have made some demo for people. I've done some remixes I did a remix for a band. I just got done doing the Night Rose CD. I just got done tracking some songs for the new Night Rose stuff. Super, super, super fun.
I've heard the production that you have out of there. It sounds so pro. It's amazing.
I am not deluding myself. I appreciate that compliment, Kevin. You have no idea, man. I learn something every day. If I thought drumming was hard, man, the whole, dude, I'm going to do this engineer thing. No, I'm a drummer trying. I mean, when I see engineer, you know what I mean? When I see, I've worked with engineers, and those dudes know their business, and they know exactly how.
It's more than technical stuff. I mean,
you have to do it a lot for years. I mean, it's not like you just go, hey, you know what? I think I'm going to start recording, which is exactly what I did.
Yeah.
I said to myself, I'm a drummer. Here's the problem. And you know this, dude. You know this, that as a drummer, when you go into the studio, the drums in the olden days before the computer and you could go through and edit things together, you had to get shit in a take.
Yeah.
Everybody else could go punch in and punch out and do all the stuff on the tape machines, but the drummers had to get it in a take. And you're always rushing. You're like, fuck, I'm nervous, and I'm freaking out. The red light fever comes on and you're shitting your pants. I mean, it's not very conducive to your greatest performances, especially when you're younger. And I said, you know what? I'm tired of this. I'm going to take a little bit of money and I'm going to start this thing small and I'm going to see what I can do. And I'll tell you what, it has made me, I don't care what it's done as far as engineering things or quasi producing things with the people that I've worked with Paullezinski and now with Night Rose. And I mixed a record for Axe Crack, if you know those guys.
I don't, but I love the name.
Axe Crack, dude. I love these people.
I'm so sorry, dude.
Dude, it's the best. And you don't come up with a name like that unless you know people are going to laugh, and they are all bored. Yeah. They do not take themselves terribly seriously. But they recorded it themselves. Okay. They recorded it themselves, and they just couldn't get it to sound the way they wanted to sound. And so Tim Proctor, the bass player, who again,
I know Tim. Yeah.
So he's the bass player, and I'm, a bass player / guitar player. And he called me up one day and said, hey man, would you be interested in trying to remix this? I'm like, does the Pope shit in the woods? Yes.
Yeah, nice.
So,
did you say the Pope? Does the Pope shit in the woods? Yeah,
that's an old Steve Martin joke.
Yeah, I remember. I thought I heard you say boat, and I thought you did a take on it. But okay, all right. So
it's a Steve Martin joke because he combines the Pope wearing a funny hat
and the bear. Yes,
so I use it occasionally. And so I told him absolutely. So he brought it down, and I mean, it was a struggle, but it was fun. It was really challenging to work with the sounds that they'd gotten at home. And it was really interesting. It's like whenever I'm working with the stuff I've done here, I kind of know it now a little bit. I know enough about my room and what my challenges are here. It's really, really small, especially, I mean, any engineer or anyone that's been in a studio can tell you need room for drums.
Sure.
20 by 20, 10-foot ceilings, big, nice acoustics. I call it my glorified isolation booth.
Okay. Nice.
And so
but you've got the baffles in the right places, it looks like. And
no, I don't. No, I don't. I swear to God, Kevin, I put them where they looked cool.
Yeah. All the engineers that are going to be on here, the Kevin Hans, Rob Dakers, all those guys are going to be
if they do. Oh, Dave.
Hey,
it's all wrong.
Let me interrupt you for a second, man. I have some people that are in the chat. Jerry Fowle asks, were you at the Gargoyle Glacier release in Salem at the Watercraft Shop?
Yeah.
You were, of course.
Yeah, I played there. I brought the
He is Gargoyle.
Yeah, he is the Gargoyle.
Yeah.
I took 2 drum sets down there, and then Michael Podrabo, he still has the original Lauren Bates Glacier drum set, which is at his house. And so he brought that down, and Lauren came out, the original drummer who had recorded on Glacier's new record. It did I think it was 3 tracks of the original Glacier stuff. So he played his kit. And then I brought a drum set for their drummer who lives in Chicago, who's just a sweetheart of a guy, and brought his stuff, brought some stuff for him to play. And then we proceeded to I'll say this for myself. I completely proceeded to embarrass myself with what literally went on for like 37 minutes of us just drumming. And nothing rehearsed. I mean, we're just like kicking into some kind of groove.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Kevin, groove. We basically just started playing over each other and under each other. And it was super, super fun. And did that. And so, did that. And that was, and so Glacier had that was for the release of their new record, which is now out and doing its deal. And then Gargoyle was supposed to be released, I think originally we were supposed to have the re-release of the 30-year-old album that we did back in the day. And that's a whole nother story, man. So we can go down that road if you want. I mean, so we had the record release, but ours didn't come in time. So we were like giving people vouchers and, hey, if you want to go here and contact us after this, and but they didn't get there in time from. I'm not even sure where they produce them, but I believe the gentleman's name, I still haven't spoken to him yet, is Manos Koufos, I believe. Okay. Manos Koufos, and he has a label called Cult Metal Classics. And he was working with Padrabo and the Glacier stuff. How do these people find this stuff?
Right.
But in like Brazil and Colombia and over, Europe, there are dudes that freak out over this stuff. I'm just like, I will say one thing. Gargoyle was receiving fan mail. And I'm not kidding you. I can't remember who it was. It might have been Tim Lockman, our vocalist.
Yeah.
Or it could have been Kevin Sanders, the guitar player that I formed the band with. We were receiving fan mail from Europe for like 15, 16 years after we broke up. It's crazy. People just and then when this thing came out, when they did the re-release, which we dedicated it to Paul Delano, bless his soul.
Yeah, man, absolutely.
Major metal. Just great guy, great friend, untimely, just awful. But we dedicated it to him. And so I start communications with Doug Smith, our original bass player. And all of a sudden this news comes out in the Cult Metal Classic, Brazil. What's going on? It's like, well, they want to re-release the record. And they did. And it's just like, it's this full matte black thing with the original album cover, double fold out thing with pictures. And it's crazy cool. DJ Will, William Howell has his, he did the, what do they call it when they do the little write up thing?
Sort of the forward kind of notes.
And so he did a really nice write up about it. And we'll go back to him because that son of a bitch saved my ass way more than once.
Okay, it's amazing to me how he has not only an encyclopedic knowledge of music, but I saw him 5 years later after the first time I saw him. And he remembered my name, remembered where I was from, and I'm like, "What is up with this guy?"
You know who's like that? My girlfriend, who you introduced me to, Jerry. Oh my God, this chick has a photographic memory.
So you better not forget any anniversaries.
Oh my God, dude, I forget everything. Okay? I'm telling you right now, you can ask Robert Anthony Robinson, who I am also in a band with, and I love him more than my own existence. I love that band. I love playing metal again.
Yeah, man. Yeah, well, that's what I mean. It's so interesting because I never saw you play that stuff before, but it's so natural and right for you.
Oh my God!
I want to interrupt. You know who else has the memory like that? This gal. Yeah, Jen is a huge fan of Dave Kendall. She just sent me this just now, and she said, "I love my Dave." Yes.
I love you too, Jen Rankin.
I'm trying to remember where this. Yeah, she's still Jen Rankin.
Okay.
Yeah,
Not
no.
Jen Rankin then. Okay.
Well, yeah, no, she's in Montana right now, but she just sent me that note, and
she's still here, isn't she? She still lives here?
Nope, she lives in Montana now. Yeah,
oh, okay.
Yeah, right. She's got an amazing guy also named Dave, who's he's super cool, and I love him, and I love her, and we're all awesome. Still buddies. But she just said that she has crazy memory for dates, and it really sucks because as I get older, I forget them all now too.
Well, the worst part isn't just the dates and the birthdays and the grandkids' birthdays and the children's birthdays and everybody else's birthday. It's the you said this then, and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? I can't remember what I said 15 minutes ago.
I told you this morning. This is what we're like. Oh, that's not just me.
She remembers what I said 15 years ago, and it's not her fault, and I'm not bagging on her. I'm just like, so now I used to go, I didn't say that.
Yeah,
you did. And so now I'm just like, I probably said that.
Yes,
I just suck it up. And
that's why you're still together as,
oh God, I actually, I mean, she's just absolutely no one else could possibly, she did. Absolutely. So you know where we are. She just got into her new house.
Okay.
So she was living here with my father and I. It's too much life within these walls, and we kept trying to figure out ways to, excuse me, I'm going to try to pop this thing up. I think, is the top of my head getting cut off?
A little bit, but like, it's just, but we get to see more of your gear. And we get to see the important parts, the Dave Grohl lookalike parts, So, yeah, look at that. That's so nice. I think while you're readjusting too, I know that Jerry Fow is getting Lauren Bates on the chat here as well. So this is good.
Cool.
Yeah. But she moved into her new place.
So she. Oh my gosh, and it is just, it's so much better for her. It's so much better for me. It's better for my dad, everything. She's 7 minutes away. It's like just easy pickings and everything. I mean, am I going to lie and say they're because basically I have to be here I need to be here roughly 24 hours a day, or have some or be able to be very close if he needs something, because he is bedridden now, and I mean, it's a full-blown elderly care. So if anybody needs some help with that, I'm super, super good at it.
Yeah,
I can do anything. Pretty much.
That's a conversation we should definitely continue. I'm looking as my folks get older in Montana.
Yeah.
And dear friend Merrill Hale is also desperately in need of,
How is Merrill doing?
Well, I had him on the show last week with Ramble On, and
I missed that, as I usually do with everything.
Well, no, it's okay. For folks that don't know, Merrill's my best friend since the first day I moved to Portland. He replaced me in the band. I moved from Montana with Dave Romans and Luke Duran. I left that band to join Analama, and Merrill took over for my gig. And he and I have just gotten, incredibly close. And he's a
great guy.
He's got a great guy. ALS, and so he's 4 years into his progression now, and unfortunately, he's in a wheelchair and has a feeding tube, and it's it's a horrible disease, and he has an amazing spirit. I cannot believe his spirit, and but he needs help, and so if there's someone out there that's able to do some care, and he's got disability payment that he can pay, so anyway, he's not only is he an amazing human, he's an amazing drummer,
Yes, he is.
When you see those kinds of things happen, especially since his spirit is so strong, it makes you realize how we have to embrace every minute that we have, every minute of health that we have, every minute that we have with somebody else, and don't squander it. Don't take anything for granted,
Nope.
And I wouldn't wish it on anyone. And I'm so blessed to have him as a friend, to be able to, connect to that. And really, I mean, bless you for being there for your dad, because that is the most challenging thing, I would imagine, for him to see his son sacrifice this for him,
Yeah, it's really, it really has been a blessing in a lot of ways. You know, I've learned a ton. I've learned that I used to really pride myself on my ability to, at least, maybe my communication skills aren't phenomenal, but I always kind of I kind of prided myself on the fact that I would listen, and I like being a part of conversation. I like knowing how people are feeling. I consider myself a super empathetic person. I will always put other people before myself. Yeah. I will go out of my way to make an uncomfortable situation in any way, shape, or form comfortable. It's just like, I just don't like it when there's tension and shit. Yeah. And being with my dad has taught me that as well as I thought I could handle some of those situations, I have learned that when a push comes to shove and things are really tense for me, taking care of him, that I will start to lose my shit a little bit.
Okay.
I'll be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
Perfectly. And
you wouldn't be human if you didn't, right?
Yeah, and he is, my dad is the most humble, gracious guy. He's not hard to deal with at all. I've heard the horror stories about people when they have to take care of their parents, and they get, the elderly can get really angry, and they take it out on the people that are closest to him, trying to take care of him. I'm not dealing with any of that. As a matter of fact, like I was saying, I have more of a problem trying to keep my attitude and emotions on kind of an even keel. 90% of the time I do really well, and other times I freak out, but
man, that's pretty good odds, honestly. The good percentage.
It's not bad. And then and of course Sherry's been a huge help, and still is, even though she's out of the house. I had to there's been some out of town stuff I had to do, and she will come over and make my dad dinner and hang out with them for a while, because my sister, and again, and I apologize for this, I'll make this real quick because I know I talked about Alexei, my nephew, earlier. He was involved in a horrible car accident about a month and a half ago.
Oh my God.
Dude, right down the street from their house. Kid walked to get a haircut. They had closed the Supercuts in his neighborhood and moved it. He walked back to the house, got in his car, drove to the first stoplight here in Hazeldale that he needed to go through to get there. Light turned green. He went to pull through the intersection to make a left-hand turn. I'm gonna try to be as kind as I can about this piece of human debris that ran into him. But he broadsided Alexei in the driver's side. It was the column that separates it's a four-door car. It was actually my dad's old car, which that car was a champ and probably saved his life. But Alexei did nothing wrong. Everything he did was absolute to the T. And the dude broadsided my nephew and put him in the hospital for 4 days with a lacerated carotid artery.
Oh my God.
Broken vertebrae at the top of his neck, fractured pelvis in 2 places, lacerated kidney, bruised liver, dude,
wow.
It was bad. And huge laceration on it. Not a huge laceration, I should say. I have a big, gash on his head when he smashed it. But this car is a 93 Toyota Avalon. If anybody can get a 93 Toyota Avalon, buy that car. Because every airbag deployed, everything went off like it was supposed to.
Oh, man.
That was my dad's car when he quit driving, and it saved his life.
He is so lucky to be alive, man.
He really is. So his progression is really good. He's out of the wheelchair. He's walking again. He's getting his strength back, because he was in a wheelchair and just standing with a walker and sitting back. He's 20 years old, and 20 years old kids. And I'm going to tell everybody that's listening to this right now, this kid is one of the most, and I am not saying this as a proud uncle, is one of the most fucking incredible bass players I have ever heard.
Wow, really?
I shit you not, Kevin.
Oh my God, that's great.
This kid is absolutely took lessons for over a year from Chris Chard,
Oh, I love Chris, man.
Oh, just a monster player. I loved playing with him. Played with him in the Matt Verba band before Matt moved to Nashville, and that was super great and just phenomenal. And this kid is absolutely could be an absolute world-class bass player, period. And I mean, period. The dude was playing Jaco Pastorius songs 6 months into picking up the bass. Carla would walk into his bedroom at 3 o'clock in the morning. Most kids are, whacking off or playing a fucking video game.
Right.
And this kid is with his bass in his hand, watching instructional videos from some dude in Minneapolis. I mean, just really just latched onto it like it was his life. And he is absolutely incredible.
Oh, that's
songwriting. He songwrites, he sings, he plays. The kid has got his shit together. It's really, really amazing. So anyway,
I'm not surprised, man. I mean, he's got his mama is incredibly talented too, and I know that they have been supportive parents, from the beginning too. So I'm glad to know he's recovering. My God, man.
Yeah,
I had no idea.
It's looking good. The only thing now, and the only reason I even say this, I'm not trying to go down that road too much. It's just that he, that carotid artery almost has, I believe that the last check, I think they may have had another one this morning, is 100% blocked.
Oh my God.
It clotted and is blocked. So he's on blood thinners for however long.
Oh.
They think that the blood thinners might help to break up the clot. They don't know what's going to happen. They might have to go in and do surgery, put a stent, and they don't know exactly what's going to happen with it. This kid did nothing wrong. Hey, jack tards that want to drive without a driver's license, multiple infractions, warrant out for your arrest, not your car, no insurance, multiple calls that evening for driving like an idiot in the area. Wow. And my nephew just happened to draw the lucky card. It was in the newspaper here. It's a full-on deal. The dude gets in there. He's going to do a year in jail. He's going to do a year in prison, and it ain't nearly enough.
Man, the people
just
that
awful, man. Just awful. Nobody
the people that don't know Dave Kendall, you should know that I've never ever seen you like worked this way. I mean, I've never seen you even say an ill word about anybody, but I mean, justifiably so, buddy. And it's just like I talked about, right? You never want to take these things for granted. Thank God he's recovering, man. Really. And it's not like your family needs any more, like obstacles to overcome. Thank God that you guys are so close, that you guys are all, really, man. I know that I've talked to a lot of people during the pandemic that their families have really grown apart because there were so many differences in opinion about politics or the COVID thing or whatever.
Sure.
And these are the kind of things that you realize all of those opinions are just opinions. They're people's perspectives, when the really important things is to lean on each other and be supportive of each other. And I mean, I don't mean to lecture or be in a soapbox at all. I recognize that, and I really embrace, any kind of opportunity to build connection with family. I'm really proud of you guys, man. Well, first of all, I need to reach out to Carla, and I'm grateful that Alexi is on the recovery.
Yeah.
I'm going to bounce back for a second because I just saw that Jason Feldman said, again, one of the nicest fellas in the scene.
Hi, Jason. Hi, buddy.
You know what? The thing is, man, like what you've been talking about, having empathy and emotional connection to people is so not metal, right? I mean, like, we get in trouble because you are one of the drummers like me that we smile when we're playing, man, because there's no place on earth we'd rather be, right? And
that is so funny that you say that, because I was, whenever I do these little things, I try to think, Kevin's a friend, so we'll probably talk about this and talk about that. And one of my favorite compliments when I'm done, it doesn't matter what I'm doing. Even when I'm trying to be angry, even when it's an aggressive song and Dave's in his mode, right? It's like, whatever, I'm just, hey, but especially with the Nitro stuff, because we have so much. people, if you don't know the Night Rose Band, look us up, go to the gigs, dude. These are the Lord's people. Also RAR. We are in a, just real quick with the RAR thing. Been in the band probably a year and a year and a half now.
Okay.
And we've got some pretty nice stuff going on right now.
Okay. Well, I saw the video. The video was incredible. The last video.
Wow. Yeah. And that's the whole thing. We're supposed to take all that stuff and like put it in our pocket for a little while because things are like happening. Awesome. I don't know what that means. I just want to play shit. I just want to hit things. I want to hit things with sticks until I can't hit things with sticks anymore. That's what I want to do. So and Robert did want me to send you a message. Okay. He's pissed that you haven't called him to do this.
Yeah, I bet. I get this. I should tell you, first of all, when I started doing this, it was never intended to be a podcast, right? You know, I don't know if you know. I mean, I did this because we had a bunch of gigs that started getting canceled. And our guitarist, we did a Facebook Live, and our guitarist and Flock called me and said, hey, this thing might go on for 2 or 3 months, man. What are we going to do for the next 3 months when we have gigs off? And and Jennifer Batten called me. She goes, you know what? You got a knack for this. You should do this because you're disarming to people. And
you're really good at it.
Well, really I appreciate you saying that. You know, I'm good at talking, not great at listening. But what it's done for me is really get at least some connection with people that I've missed out on, like you, right?
Yeah.
I am so grateful to be able to reconnect somehow.
Yeah,
you know, even if we can't be in a room. I mean, I'm a hugger, bro. And so we're approaching 200 episodes. And what sucks, I think today is like 194. And since May last year,
I just made it in under the 200.
But what happens is, right, it's not like, it's never meant to offend anyone by me not calling or anything yet. What happens is that people reach out to me and go, hey, man, I want to come on your show. And I think it's weird when somebody calls to ask, it seems strange, right? Because I get caught up in stuff and I realize, holy crap, I didn't even talk to Dave yet, right? This is the thing.
Which I did not. I will let everybody know. I did not call Kevin.
And the fact that Robert like sent a note means that I'm just gonna wait longer to talk to him. But
did he send you a note?
No.
Did he?
From you. No, but the thing is, like, I'm booked up through July and I have too many shows. I mean, really, you know, if I was doing this as a sort of a monetization thing, I would be 1 or 2 a week, and I'd really, you know, and the thing is, for me, it's selfish. I get to hang out with my buddies and we chat about this stuff. Some of them have been mind-blowing just because they've come through, like friends of mine, like Tawny Katane, right? I met Tawny years ago in Macon at one of those events. And then our mutual friend, Missy Gordon, was her talent booker. And Missy was saying, man, Tawny would be great in your show because, you know, she's really working at recovery stuff. And I've talked a lot about my recovery and all that. Yeah. And so we had her on the show about 6 weeks ago. And then Rudy Sarza was on the next day. And she jumped on with Rudy. And we had this great conversation. Since then, Tawny and I got pretty close, man. We shared a lot of meetings together. And, cool. And for me, I get to see a completely different side of somebody that I didn't know. Most everybody on my show are pals that we've hung with or we tour with. You know, I've been talking to bands that we tour with. There are a few exceptions like that, you know. And Robert, I know peripherally because my buddies have all played in bands with him, and he's a freaking wicked guitarist and a really great metal songwriter. And
I'm gonna throw this out there.
Yeah,
guitar playing and songwriting aside, it is so, his voice is ridiculous.
Yeah, he's a
nobody should be able to sing like that. I mean, he's got the full meal deal happening. I mean, it is just, and here's the funny thing about it.
He's an entertainer too.
Yeah, he's
got the entertainment factor.
Dude, he's fun and he's funny and he's light and he's fun to hang out with and he's not too serious about it. We come over, we get together once a week and come down to the studio here. So this is like, you know, I've got the I got the speakers set up. We come in and jam ourselves in here for 3 hours and sweat our asses off and, play, totally fun, heavy metal stuff. And he's just a really nice guy. I've known him for 30 years.
Oh my God, really?
We used to do shows with them. Gargoyle played shows with his band Passion Fatal back in the day. Was the name of
Oh, that's right, Passion Fatal. Yeah,
yeah.
That's
and
right.
So we played shows with them. And so for about the last 20 years, ever since I moved back from California and then kind of reconnected with everybody in the late 90s, early 2000s. So it's been probably anywhere from 15 to 20 years that we've been going, dude, we should be in a band. Dude, you should call me. Dude, call me, right? So all this stuff is going on and things happen and then years go by. It's like, hey, dude, you never called me. It's that kind of a thing. And we kind of be in each other's shit. It's like, hey, the phone works both ways, bro. It's like, so we had this little thing going on. And then finally he called me and he already had the RAR thing working. So that was kind of a deal. And he called me up and asked me, he was like, I've got this bulk of material that I don't think is quite RAR stuff. Okay. And so I was wondering if you would like to give it a shot. And I was like, dude, yeah, fine. Yeah, it's fine, lady. It's been, 30 years. Yeah, let's play. And so, anyways, whatever happened at the time, I wasn't really involved in what was going on in the RAR camp. But that kind of fell apart. Dane Haas, who I love more than my own life, was his drummer. Yeah. And I love him. I mean, I love you, Dane, if you see this. I love you. And for some reason, it just didn't, that fell apart. I'm not sure exactly what happened, I don't know. And then Robert said, hey, by the way, you're now playing for RAR. I'm like, oh, what? And, I asked him what happened. He was just like, yeah. Let's not open that can of words. And I'm like,
sure, probably
better that I don't know. And I don't think there was anything nefarious going on. I don't think it was horrible. It was just band stuff, it's band kind of stuff. And Dane and I have talked since then. We have talked, we have spoken.
He loves you. You love him. I know.
We're cool. We're cool. Cause I love me some Dane Haas, man. Love that guy.
Yeah. And so, you know what? And that's a good point before you go on. Yeah. If you guys are watching and you are not a musician, you don't know in a band, there is a really weird dynamic that can happen, right? Because musicians inherently have an ego, right? I mean, that's just part of our deal, right? We want to play, and it's not a negative thing at all. I mean, we've got pride. And so when your pride takes a hit, if something like that happens, for whatever reason, I feel like I can hold my own in certain bands. And when I've left a band in the past, I know it got icky because the singer felt snubbed. And I was just like, but it doesn't feel right. You're an amazing songwriter, an amazing singer, an amazing band. But I felt like, man, I'm just like, I talked about how you never play tentative. You play everything with conviction. There are certain bands that I felt like I just approached it with a little bit of tentative, approach because it just didn't feel right. I'm going
to correct you, Kev, because I love you for saying that. And I know you've probably seen me play enough now to think, dude, there are, oh my God. Coming from the hard rock background, and then I had a long time with Colorfield to get myself going. I wanted to be able to play more. I felt fairly adept at playing the hard rock stuff, and I'm like, look, I'm not deluding myself here. I'm no groove. I want to get into groove. I want to know what a pocket is. What's a pocket? Yeah. What do they mean when they say pocket? I'm now just learning what a pocket is.
It feels good.
It does, and I can kind of climb in there every once in a while, and it feels pretty awesome. The one thing that I will say I'm getting really good at is doing the recording. Is I'm getting really good at playing with a click.
I bet,
it's super fun, and it's really challenging. And man, does it! I mean, as you know, this is going to be minutia for anybody that isn't a drummer. Well, musicians will get it, but man, when you break it down and you start to take your part and then go, oh, well, I've made up this great drum part, or guitar part, or keyboard part, or whatever, and I played it for months. Now I'm going to track it, and they want you to play it to a click. boy, do you realize what your push and pull is, where
right.
I mean, dude, I was always rushing out of my fills. Always. Well, I was the king.
Thank you. Well, hold on a sec. Hold on a sec. Before you start with the self-deprecation and then humble stuff. But what I want to say is the pride thing, right? Because we're talking about how important it is to be able to put your pride in check, right? So if like, and this kind of ties into what you're just saying right there too. You understand how important it is to play in a click, to play to a click. When you walk into a studio and an engineer says, all right, so we're going to play this song to a click. As a drummer, if you've not practiced with a metronome and you practice with a click track and you get in there, the tendency is to rush. It's almost always that way, especially drum fills, right? You're excited about it, or there's the energy and you push the click, and it is humiliating and frustrating.
Oh my God.
It's a humbling moment for sure. But the first time, then you listen back to yourself and you listen to yourself against a click and you go, oh my God, I guess I just shouldn't be playing drums then. Or you go, okay, well, there's some stuff to work on. And so that's where you get an opportunity right there to put your pride in check, right? Yeah. And so when, say this opportunity happened where a dear friend of yours was in a band, they asked that person to be out of the band and have you come in, two things can happen. Number one, resentment can happen from the guy that's leaving, even though you've had decades of friendship together. Or you can realize, you know what, timing wasn't right. As long as the separation from the other band wasn't so toxic, right? I mean, I think from what I remember, there was nothing, I think there's no harshness to it. I think that everybody still likes each other and all that. But it's so important for musicians as you're younger to realize it's like any creative person, an artist, right? So if you're a painter and you're in a painting class and they have a critique and they have the adjudicator and the panel that is there critiquing your work.
Sure.
If they say, you know what, you've your line strokes could be a little hard, more bold there, and I would say use of color, and the first thing you could do is put up your wall and go, oh my God, I'm saying I'm shitty. I'm a shitty person. And I can't.
Right.
And as creatives, right, that's the first thing we want to do. Or you can say, objectively, if I could step outside myself and see why I was not right, as that maybe their critique of my painting, or maybe the band that says that I'm not the right guy for that gig, right? Because I can't commit time-wise, or my tendency to rush, or my look is wrong, or whatever. If you can step outside and put your pride in check and just say, I know I can nail the next one. You know who's the king of that? You know who's the king of that is Mark Schulman. Mark Schulman, really? In his book, he talks about the Hardline gig that you were talking about earlier. And how Jonathan Cain threw a metronome at him because he walked into audition and he sucked. He was pushing the click. And he said, I was so humiliated. So I locked myself in a studio for like 6 weeks, nonstop. I didn't talk to anybody. I just locked myself in with the click track. And then some guy came along named Dean Castronovo and showed him how it's done. And now Mark Schulman is laughing all the way to the bank, playing with Pink for the last 10 years and a lot of other gigs. But he could have gone either way, and he just chose to make himself better. You could be bitter, or you can be better.
Right. That's my thought. I mean, I'm not deluding myself in any way, shape, or form. I know exactly where I am on the great big scheme of things, and all I can do is control what I can control. And so for me, well, a perfect example is like back in the Gargoyle days, there was nothing but playing 180 beats a minute and my feet are going 1,000 miles an hour. And so I had everything going on. Well, I took 25 years off from playing double bass at all. I just wasn't doing it. I didn't do it in my hard rock band down in LA. When I moved back, obviously I didn't do it in Colorfield. I didn't do it it was just like I hadn't done it. So Robert comes in and says, hey, I got these songs that I want to work on you with. And there was some double kick in there. And I was going, uh-oh, I was just like, now this is, and so it threw me back into this mode of having to, okay, I've got to try to come on foot, and so every day I sit down behind the kit here, right here, that little fella, and I'll sit down and just, I'll watch instructional videos there are guys out there that it's jaw dropping what they'll do with their feet. It's jaw dropping. And so all I try to do is just I've never taken any of their instructional courses or their videos. I just look at what they do in those videos and say, now my right foot looks like that. My right foot's pretty good. I can do what I need to do with it. My left foot is just like it's like a piece of meat hanging on a stick. It's just awful. It's like, I can't dig it. And it's getting slightly better now but it's taken a long time before this is connecting with that. It's just like, God, it's tough. So getting back into, but again, I mean, metal is where I came from. I mean, it's what I did. I think, and it was like you were saying about how, sometimes things don't work out for being in bands, and, you might not play right. You might not do this. Your style's different. You don't have the right look. Dude, I don't have the right look for anything.
No, you have the right look for everything.
Dude, it's like people are constantly making mention about I'm old as shit and I still have this hair. And so I'm afraid to cut it because I don't know if it's growing back. I'll be perfect because I cut it. Remember when I cut my hair?
I remember.
Now I was figuring, I'm like, okay, well, my hair will grow back. Now I'm not so sure. So I'm not gonna jinx it right off the bat. And when I do it, I'm telling you folks, when this shit goes, it's not going to be any of this stuff down here. I mean, I'm fucking high and tight, brother. I'm going Kevin Rankin.
No. Here, this is what you do. You brush this forward, and it's kind of like a comb over. You just cover up that receding hairline.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, there's a big bald spot right here too that I keep spiking stuff up on.
Yeah, I still don't have a bald spot, which I think it's thinning.
Oh, you're gifted.
I know. I'm
so handsome.
Oh God.
I'm going to ask you a couple of things. I don't know if you've ever watched this show before. There are a couple of questions that I throw people. Boy, I'm fumbling over words today too. We stayed up all night in Las Vegas last night, and I'm with my sons. We're here, and
crazy father, you?
Well, we went roller coaster riding, and I've got a hernia right now, so I'm like,
get out of Dodge.
Yeah, so I won't be jumping off the stratosphere this time, but I have done it. But I'm going to bring them over to do it next. So anyway, I'm just tired. We stayed up watching movies and stuff.
Okay.
So, they're coming in. The boys are coming in from the pool. This is awesome.
Tell them to say hi.
Yeah. Hey, come over here and say hi to Dave Kendall and everyone on
I haven't seen these guys. I haven't seen the boys in forever.
And look at Nolan here. Look at that guy. Yeah. That's my bearded Nolan, and there's my bearded Caleb. Yeah, what's up?
What's happening, brother?
Oh, hold on. You know what? They can't hear you. Sorry. There you go. Now it's headphones out. Caleb.
Hey,
Caleb, what's happening, brother?
Good. We just came back from the pool. We're enjoying Vegas right now.
There you go. You keep doing what you do.
All right. Talk to you later, man.
Later, brother.
Hey,
wow, dude, they're so grown up. I haven't seen them in a long time.
Yeah, it's been a long time for sure.
Yeah.
We need to rectify that. We're all vaccinated now, and so that's
I'm fully vaxxed up.
That's vaxxed in black is what I call it.
Yeah,
so.
That was the one thing, man. Taking care of my dad.
Yeah.
If you don't think the first 6 months of that shit was scary, I mean, I would mask up every time I'd walk in the room. They were still, they're still finding things out about it all the time. I mean, it's still a crap. I mean, that's the thing that I don't think a lot of people understand. They're still learning about this,
of course.
So that's why they keep changing the rules and changing stuff because, hey, the vaccines do this. We didn't know this, but it does do this, and it protects it here and it protects it. So with my dad and being in his position, I'm like, he gets it.
Cautious.
He's done. He's done. So I was really he's a veteran. So the VA came over and got him his shots right off the bat.
Good. That's good.
And then the minute I became eligible, I went and did it. So. Yes, I'm good. So ask me these questions.
Yeah, okay, I have two questions. For number one, you've had so much history here too. So a ton of people know Dave Kendall. A lot of people talked about, hey, there's the nicest fellow in the scene. But what would somebody be surprised about? I ask about guilty pleasures. So what's something that if somebody knew Dave Kendall, they thought they knew you pretty well, what would they be surprised by?
Oh, I hate you so much right now. Man, wow.
Okay, well, you can think about that one for a second.
That's a good one. I'll think about that.
Store it in there, and I'll tell you, we had a run of about 5 shows in a row where everybody from, like Dave Ellefson from Megadeth mentioned that he liked disco, But he hid it and only would admit it when it was time to pick up chicks. So then there was a string of everybody saying that they loved ABBA, which is not a guilty thing at all, but it was just, their deal. So you could think about it. It doesn't have to be music. It can be anything. A lot of, there was a run of people that said they're hooked on The Bachelor. They watch it every night.
I've got one like that.
All right, let's hear it then. All right.
Sherry and I are completely addicted to TLC's 90 Day Fiance. I'll watch any of them anytime.
Oh my God. I don't even know what that is. What is that?
It's terrible. It's where these people that, Americans will go overseas and they'll meet somebody.
Okay.
And they fall in love and then they come back and they are doing their long distance thing. They can come over for 90 days on what's called the K-1 visa, but they got to get met. And it's all the trials and tribulations that these people go through with their personal lives, the whole legal aspect of what they can do when they can do it. Then they come over and then it's been following them through the coronavirus.
Oh my God.
Oh, dude, I'm not going to lie. It's so cheesy. It's so fun. It's the funnest, most non-thinking. I don't have to worry about anything. I sit there and go,
yeah, man.
Oh, you shouldn't have said that.
We need an escape like that sometimes.
You got to do it. And then I have a major right now. I have a major addiction to anything that has to do with recording. Oh, that's my thing, man. It's just like, I admit it. I will build and tear down drum mixes from things that I've done. And, I realize I'm breaking every law of mixing by doing it. They're like, hey, man, don't sit there for hours and listen to stuff. You got to take an ear break and get away, So I've started to do that. It only took me fucking 10 years to learn that, So, but I will just the minutia and pick it apart and get online and say, I'm missing this. What can I buy that's going to help me with this? And I'm just an idiot because nothing. I realized that if like Chris Laura Alge came down into my studio, he could make, with the gear that I've got in here right now, make a record that would sound incredible.
Yeah.
Well, incredible.
That's a lifetime of experience, and then the gift of having that from the beginning. It's like Chris Lord Alge would not be able to sit down at that drum kit and make it sound the way you do.
Oh, thank you.
There's that.
I like to delude myself into believing that myself. It's
awesome. Man, you know what? I'm fascinated by engineers, producers, like guys that can engineer and produce at the same time. And but okay, so with that kind of in mind, you have sort of led a bunch of different lives, really. I mean, like the Dave Kendall in Southern California, the pursuit of metal stardom and coming back here and having worn a lot of hats, from, installing my beautiful flooring to, like the bands. I mean, Night Rose, I can't wait to see the band live. I've seen the videos for sure. Mike Branch is a genius. I know that guy is.
I just couldn't love that man more if I tried. I love every person in that band. I'm going to give them all a shout out.
You're right. Aaron Bartley, Michelle Lynn.
I could not love these people anymore if I tried. We are a family.
Yeah.
We are a family.
Every person in that band, I love them too. And so, I'd like to have a Night Rose show if people are up for it.
Oh my God, we'd be into it. Completely into it. Yeah, I know.
What I was getting to.
Yeah, go.
Is legacy. When you're at the end days of Dave Kendall's tenure on this planet, when you're looking back over not only your accomplishments, but also, the people you've touched, all that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Tell me what Dave wants to be recognized for as a legacy.
I would like people to remember me and think of me as a guy that was, I may not always show up, but I really care about people. I really care about everybody that I come across, everybody that I meet. I've always said, because the word fame doesn't mean anything to me anymore. It stopped meaning anything to me 30 years ago, really. Yeah. I went from very early on, I want to be a rock star, to being a professional musician really fast. It wasn't about the rock stardom. I saw where that led and didn't want to do it. And, and the one thing that I always said to myself, that if I ever had even a modicum of success, the remotest amount, the one thing that I would always do is make time for the people that made it possible for me to get there. I will always talk to them. I will never shun them. I will always go back. I would always go back after a show and come out of the dressing room or dry off room if there's no dressing room, because we all know that there are clubs that don't freaking have dressing rooms.
Yeah.
So you come out, and if there's 5 people out there, or 2 people, or 1 person that wants to give me, that wants to tell me, and it's happened a couple of times, and it's really amazing. It's really, really great when you are involved in something and it means something to somebody. And I know that, and this is corny as shit.
No,
I get
it's
it.
Not. It's
a million people have said this, but I honestly mean it from the bottom of my heart. That's the thing that I want people to take away, was that, man, that guy was real. He really cared when he was talking to me. He showed he was funny. And I mean, sometimes I try too hard to be funny. Man, you want to talk about somebody that's funny? Aaron Bartley is funny.
Oh yes, he is.
Mike Branch is funny. Robert Anthony Robinson. These dudes are funny. I'm hanging on by a very thin thread, trying to keep up with that. These guys are. But I just want people to remember. I mean, I'm just a real guy, and I want to be there for people. And I anything that I can do to help people, I am the dude that will drive 10 miles. Walk 10 miles uphill both ways in the snow to get you a hot chocolate. I mean, I that's the way I like to be. I think like I said earlier, I try to be an empathetic person. I think I do really well at putting other people before myself. And that's what I want to be remembered for. As far as the music thing goes, I mean, dude, I don't delude myself. I'm not going to be the best drummer in the world, but fuck, I'm not the best drummer on my block. I mean,
humility is such a beautiful thing about you too, man. I'm telling you, I respect it. I admire it.
Do you know why, Kevin? I'm going to tell you why. Because I have seen what's out there. Yeah. All you have to do is click on the YouTubes of some 9-year-old kid.
I know.
And that just makes you go, okay, now that doesn't make me go, oh, I'm not going to throw up my sticks and quit, but it lets you know where you are. And I mean, it's like, it was just like when I saw Dean, that was what stuck the fork in me right then. I'm just like, okay, this guy is on another planet. And it's just,
you're right. Yeah,
it's just that simple. Because he's got that way of just being able to unload, and it's just effortless. And he's gotten his progression from when he was 18, 19 years old playing with the Dogs to today. I mean, I hear him on some of that stuff that he does with the. I mean, it's been a long time since I've heard it, but like the Marty Friedman records and the Tony McAlpine Maximum Security stuff, and you're just like, oh my God, are you kidding?
Yeah. And you know what? And then on top of it all, dude sings better than anybody, right? So that's another story.
It literally makes me mad.
I cry.
You know that when you're having the guys in Journey say, "Hey, Dean, you should sing this one."
Yeah, right.
While you're playing it, you're just like, "Oh, you're just." Yeah. He's a really excellent talent, and the thing and I actually feel blessed, coming up near someone like that, because it was so easy to stay humble. It was so easy not to ever let ego become a part of it. And I never did. I never had any. I'm the first person to say at any time, like, this is what I do. Guys from Night Rose came down the other day, did a quick tracking session to a click track in here to start working on the new ideas for the new record. So I come back in and lay the drums down. I mix down a quick MP3 of them and send them to say, what do you think? They're the ones that we do at rehearsal, but as I record them, I'm getting good enough to go, well, that part that I'm doing in rehearsal is not working when I track it. That particular bass drum pattern, that fill is definitely not happening, whatever. And so I've gotten really good at understanding that, and I'll immediately strip it down, send it to them. And I think there are a lot of people that get way too wrapped up in their opinion of what is right for a song or good for a song, or in general,
sure.
And just life, it bleeds over into just regular life. I don't have that. I don't have that ego. I don't want that ego. It's just when somebody tells me, hey, I think you could try this here, I'm on board.
Yeah.
Whatever I need to do to make your song what you need it to be, I am so on board with that. You know, God, and so
what a good bandmate.
So that's really great. So and then, you know, like I said, that first question, man, the thing that they might not know about me is that damn addiction to friggin' Sweetwater sound or bass, Sweetwater, and looking at gear and trying to find the next little purchase for the studio or the next thing for my DAW, you know, looking for the right plugin to use on my kick drum, you know, I mean, something ridiculous, something that I've probably duplicated 17 times in my plug-in list that I could do, you know, with 7 up, but you know what, oh, that one looks cool. And so I click the buy button and I'm on board, you know. And so I'm pretty bad at that, but everything else, man, I'm just living life, you know.
I love it, man. If you guys are out there and you're watching Dave Kendall and you're interested in getting more gear, don't forget, you can save 15% and no sales tax if you go to 5-Star Guitars. 5starguitars.com/all-access-live. Joff Metz, he'll appreciate that. Yeah, we want to keep.
It was very funny. Joff was a guy that I will be totally open and honest with you. When I first met him, I didn't get it. I in the respect that is he okay? Is he mad? Is he mean? Is he like? I just wasn't sure how to read him exactly. But man, just another person that it took a little time. It was on my end, nothing to do with him. You know, it was me. And I could bore you with the story. I'm not going to, but there's a story that goes along with that. And it's just, you know, just another person in the music. In case you haven't, you said this earlier, I love people. I love talking. I love communicating. I love being a part of people's lives. I like the experience of living. And music is a great way to engage in that, because you get to meet the people you play with, you get to meet the people that you work with, you get to meet the people that you play in front of, you get to meet the people that like what you do. I'll never call them fans. I don't like it.
I'm with you, dude. I call them friends, man. They're supportive. They're supportive friends.
The fan thing is not my deal. That comes along with a very different connotation for me. And I've never once in my life played a show where I've seen a gaggle of women up front screaming and crying and then passing out. Those are fans. The Beatles had that. That's never happened. Kevin's never happened to me.
Yeah, well, the girls ask you to impregnate them when they see you. So. Hey, listen, speaking of awesome, fun drummers from the Couve, on Thursday, I've got Adrian Ost on the show as well. So we're going to have Adrian, you know Adrian, like Power Man 5000, you know. But he's,
of course. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was from the Couve, and I haven't heard that name in forever. That's great.
He's right up the road from you. He's just past Hazeldale. So
that's
we'll be
funny.
Talking on Thursday.
Right. Yeah, I've only talked to him just through you. Just through you. We went to see him play with Power Man 5000 at that bar.
Hawthorne Theater, I think.
Yeah.
Oh no, North Portland.
Yes, in NoPo. Yeah. And went saw him at that little bar, and oh my God, dude, that was a bad night for me, man. I actually think I got sick that night. But that was you. That was the Kevin Rankin that was completely taking Dave under his wing and helping me through my divorce, because I was like, I was like fully tripping balls and going through it was understandable. I mean, I wasn't completely emotionally blown up, but I was pretty tripped out, and you helped me a ton. You and Jen helped me a ton.
Man, well, you're a wonderful human being. I love you, man.
Thank you, buddy.
I'm so glad to get this connection. Please do me a favor when you see Alexi, give me a little soft squeeze for me, and I'll reach out to Carla and Sherry. Listen, I think the worldview, bless you for being so good for your dad, and to all of us, man. I am grateful, guys. If you came in here late, you can watch this again. I'll have it up on accesskevin.com later. You can go to the YouTube channel, subscribe, and you can go back and rewind and watch the beginning of this. It's an awful lot of Dave Kendall today in all realms. And so bless you, my friend. I love you so much.
Thank you too, buddy.
I'm gonna go, watch my kids get crazy in Las Vegas.
Do it.
Tomorrow, Sarah Paz from Singapore is going to be on at the same time, 3:00 Pacific. And please subscribe, guys, because then Thursday, Adrian Ost, and then Friday, we've got Tom Harmon. We've got Eddie Van Halen's guitar tech on the show. I can't wait to. That's going to be amazing. So,
all right, brother.
Dave Kendall, thank you again.
You have fun in Vegas, and I'm just going to say to everybody, I miss all you guys. We'll get back to normal soon. I cannot wait to see everybody. I love my music family, man. I just love you guys.
And we love you.
All right, brother.
Buddy. Take care, my friend.